Welcome to Into the Night. I'm Nari, your guide on today's excursion down a twisted path. Be careful not to get lost. Be it dark or light, it's easy to lose your way. Are you ready? Then let's begin. A limited time offer. Alvin paced back and forth as he patrolled his section in the store. He welcomed people as they passed by, while he maintained a hopeful expression and a smile.
Good afternoon, folks. Can I interest you in one of our sectional sofas? These prices are a limited time offer, and you don't want to miss out.
His smile faded as the couple walked by, giving him only a slight nod as they headed straight to the electronics department. Alvin straightened his tie and adjusted his trousers that too tightly clung to his ample midsection. He regained his composure and plastered a pearly white grin onto his dripping face. A young family approached, and Alvin walked toward them.
Well, look at you, handsome fella.
He leaned down and patted the head of a brown-haired boy of 3 or 4. The child recoiled, and his mother grasped his hand. As the parents led their son away, Alvin called after them.
You should try out our recliners. This price won't last long. It's a limited time offer. We have a huge selection.
His words trailed away as the family only walked more quickly away from him. The father shot a stern look at Alvin over his shoulder, and that desperate salesman realized he was better off not pushing them any further. Time after time, the same scenario played itself out. At first, Alvin reassured himself.
The economy is bad. People just don't have the money to spend right now.
His theory didn't hold true, however, as he watched customer after customer carry pricey home decorating and electronics items out of the store.
I have to make my quota. I can't afford to lose this job. I don't know what I'll do. Management has already been on my case for weeks. This store-wide sale will make or break me.
He paced around his section of the store, trying to come up with something to bring customers to his area. He couldn't help but notice the stern look he received from a manager as the man walked past the sofas on the way to his office. Alvin's heart pounded and his stomach rolled. A sharp pain stabbed behind his left eye, and he felt nauseous.
Please don't let a migraine hit now. I can't be sick today.
Still, he felt one coming on, and that made him all the more morose. Ever since he was a teenager, he worked hard to make his own way in the world. He wanted to be his own man. His family chose less savory means of supporting themselves, and they often ridiculed him for not wanting to take part in their schemes. A natural sense of right and wrong dictated Alvin's young heart, however, and as difficult as it was to be treated as a stranger in his own family, he persevered. He was the black sheep, and on most days, he was okay with that. At the moment, though, he felt like a failure, and that crushed him. If he didn't make some big sales today, he would lose his apartment. He was already a month and a half behind on the rent, and the complex manager had left several ugly notes on his door, demanding that he fork up the money or move out.
No one has a charitable spirit in this economy. Everyone is looking out for themselves. I've told him I'll catch up as soon as I can, but he doesn't understand or care that my pay is tied to commissions, and sales have been bad for months.
Alvin watched as the hands on the clock spun, and the people who came through the store seemed enamored of every other item except those he had to sell. He cleared his throat and spoke to passers-by with an upbeat tone.
Wouldn't you like to have a comfortable recliner to relax in after a long, hard day at work, sir? Sir, you should give this sofa a try. It would look great in your living room. The neutral colors match any decor.
People looked at him uncomfortably and quickened their pace as they walked by. At noon, he headed to the break room for lunch, but his stomach felt too riled to feel like eating. Besides, all he could afford to pack for the day was a butter sandwich and some raw carrots. He watched as his co-workers heated scrumptious-smelling leftovers or ordered in pizza. Discouraged, he tossed the carrot in his hand back into his plastic lunch container and closed the lid. Embarrassed to even be seen with such pitiful fare, he hid the container in the back of the employee refrigerator and dejectedly walked toward the sofa department. Without saying a word, he walked past a group of coworkers who gushed about their sales. He overheard one say,
"I put some candy out for the kids, and it worked like magic. All of the tykes begged their parents to come to the lighting department."
At first, a flash of anger made Alvin clench his jaw. Then, like a ton of bricks, his mind repeated that phrase.
It worked like magic. It worked like magic.
Sighing, he slumped his shoulders and dejectedly walked the rest of the way back to his section. An hour later, he had no luck. Another hour passed, and he still made no sales. Alvin saw his future slip away from him, and he almost broke down in tears.
If I don't make something happen, I'm going to think butter sandwiches and baby carrots are a delicacy.
As another hour ticked away, Alvin swallowed his pride. His afternoon break arrived, and he spent it rummaging through his car. Finding anything in his car was no easy task. Alvin wasn't known for having organizational skills, and his mother often derided him for being messy. Customers walked by his car and gave him strange looks as he tossed items to and fro, searching for a box he knew had to be there. Finally, he found it wedged under the back seat.
Oh, I almost threw you away years ago.
He stood, adjusted his tie, and carried the box inside, where he placed it on an end table displayed next to a beige sofa set. Alvin carefully unlatched and opened the small trunk. He winced.
I thought I was done with such childish follies. But if appealing to the children is what makes sense, I have to swallow my pride and do it.
He pulled out a wind-up music box and twisted the key. Calliope music played, and he reached inside the trunk once more. Juggling pins, a black top hat, and various other items soon sat next to the music box. Almost immediately, a crowd formed around him. While the children watched him perform his magic tricks, the parents took seats on sofas and recliners. Soon, people left other departments and gathered around to see what caused all the excitement. Parents took turns watching their children as spouses made their way to the sales desk. Before long, the men who delivered furniture for the store arrived and carried one piece of furniture after another out of the store to be taken to customers' homes. Meanwhile, the children were delighted by Alvin's act. They squealed when he pulled not just one, but one fuzzy lop-eared bunny after another out of his hat. He made sure each child could pet and hold their new furry friends. Before long, management took notice. Ralph Cromwell, store manager, motioned for Alvin to come speak with him for a moment.
Just for a moment, folks. He'll be right back. Feel free to try out all the sofas and recliners you'd like,
Ralph said as he guided Alvin to the side.
Al, you've worked here for how long? 6 months, sir. Don't ever do this again.
Shocked, Alvin stood dumbfounded.
Do what, Mr. Cromwell? Don't you ever hold out on us again. We had no idea you had these talents. I have to admit, you've been our worst sales performer during the entire time you've worked here. Now people are buying multiple pieces from your department. A few have even bought sofas for their parents and grandparents. You have the magic touch with this act of yours. Keep it up. I expect this kind of success from you from now on. Do you understand?
Alvin gave him a shy smile and a nod.
Okay, sir. I can do that. Now get back over there and do your stuff.
Returning to his section, he heard the music box winding down. The plink-plink of notes grew slower, and he hurried to wind it up once more. People who started to walk away turned around once more and sat. The children clapped and cheered. He had a blonde girl of 4 or 5 pull a never-ending kerchief from his sleeve. Her parents bought the highest priced set of sofa, love seat, and recliners in the store. Within 3 hours, the store handed out rain checks to disappointed customers who couldn't go home with pieces sold out of Al's section. At 8 o'clock that evening, the doors closed, and as the last customer pulled away from the parking lot, the calliope music from his music box ended. Alvin packed his trunk of magic tricks and clutched it to his chest. He carefully took it to his car once he clocked out in the workroom. Sitting in the driver's seat of his beaten-up blue car, he looked at himself in the mirror. The shame he felt made his heart hurt.
I promised myself I wouldn't resort to this, and now look at me.
Taking a deep breath, he pulled out of his parking spot and headed home. That night, as he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, he could hear his mother's voice. Al, you can try to fight your family's heritage, but someday you are going to be glad you possess the magic. The music box your grandmother left you will make people do whatever you want them to do. You won't be so headstrong forever, and someday you'll regret being such a wayward son. Hard work doesn't always pay the bills in this world, but magic will. In that moment, Alvin embraced the horror that he was, after all, his mother's son. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Into the Night Anthology podcast. Written by Caroline Giammanco, narrated by Nari. Theme music by Nico Rodriguez. You can find our links in the show notes. Into the Night is on your favorite podcatcher, so make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review to help other excursionists to join us. I'll see you next time. And remember, whether in the shadows or in the daylight, all twisted paths lead you into the night.